Can you think of any fight that's come from money, that come from a background where they basically got up and they didn't need to do it but still made it? Anyone that you know from personal experience?
No, not really. No, I don't think I've ever come across anybody in my experience who's come from money.
Shall I tell you one?
Go on.
You're not going to like it. Chris Eubank Jr.
Well,
And that's facts.
but you might say that, but I'll give you an example then. Okay, then he's not come from money. We had Chris Eubank Jr. with the Louis Theroux documentary, and don't forget, Chris Eubank Sr. was with the family at the time when he was making all this money. So as kids, right, he had a better upbringing than me because he got more money. Because he did. He got so many kids that lived in a nice house. So from a certain age, say from 0 to whatever, maybe 16 or 18. I know one time he went over to America, didn't he? There was something went off there, if you remember. Like Chris Senior sold him to some Americans or something. But no, I know he went to live in America at some point. But let's say from the formative years, from 0 to 14, he will have had a very nice life. Of course he will have, because his dad were boxing, he were famous. And even if you've got no money, even the fame aspect of it all, you do get carried through. So he was born into money because Chris had got money. So he's not had to rough it, has he? He's not had to go without TV. He'll have had a mobile phone. He'll have always been fed. There was always money in the house. His mother was a nice woman, Karen, decent woman. So he wasn't brought up in poverty, was he? Do you know what I mean? So he got that. He's like, is that what we're saying, that he's had money and he's come through it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because he's come from money and created his own money, and he's now a multi-millionaire.
That's the thing, but you've also got to remember there is that he had an incentive because he'd seen what his dad had done. Do you know what I mean? And he still had to make it on his own. So
are we going to get you to accept that he's come from money and he's made money?
But it's not his money, is it?
I mean, the money he's generated himself in boxing.
He's not had money, has he, as a kid? He's generated his own money. He's
come from like a privileged
background. Yeah, he has, but the thing is, it's not. But he hasn't got money. What has he? His dad had got the money. It's like, would you assume, like it's like with me or my kids? It's like my kids ain't got money, or my dad. Like when my dad were making money off Naz, we didn't think, oh, it's our money. It's his money. We haven't made it, so you've still got an incentive to make it. I mean, we have had fighters. I have actually had a few fighters who've had trust funds and everything and had money, and they've had flash cars. And an example, Naz's kids, when they came in, they trained here. They got money, they got flash cars, they got flash clothes. They did all right. They did have money. It was, kind of given to them to a certain level. And obviously they're trying to make their way in boxing. But like we said with Eubank, he still had an incentive because he'd seen the other side of it. He's seen his dad making the money and what you can do to make money. So, it's not like he started off with a bank account full of money, did he? No, he didn't. His dad didn't want to give him any money. So if you ask Chris Eubank Jr. this question the next time you see him, because you're big pals with him.
I'm not pals with him.
Because you keep fluffing him up, and every time I bring him down, you're giving me an idea of why I should be nice to him. You ask him, when he turned professional, just ask him.
God.
When he turned professional, if he had more than £20,000 in his bank account, and he probably didn't have any.
I'll ask him that. That'll be a good. That's if I get an interview with him, because he's not easy to get.
Right. So
and he's not my pal, unfortunately.
Right. Well, anyway, it comes across as like you're always trying to give me a good reason why I should like him.
No, because
not that I dislike him. I'm just saying to you that he's not come from. His dad's got money. He was born into money. He had a family life. We had no struggle, but he also had an example of a parent who came from nothing and made his money. So, and that's what I'm saying, and that's probably why Chris Eubank, in my mind, he's done all right, but he's not one of these fighters who's had to claw himself through the hard way and he's had to have the really hard fights, because I don't think he has. I think a lot of what he's done has been simply off the back of his name, that he's been given that, because it's an easy sell. Of course it is. Eubank BENN. If you say to me, Eubank BENN, we're talking about Chris Eubank from back in the day, Nigel Benn from back in the day. You talk to some 20-year-old or 22-year-old, Eubank and BENN. No, it's Conor BENN and Chris Eubank Jr. Well, that's, did the dads box? You'd be surprised how many people can't go 10, 15 years back or 20 years back. of this boxing generation. They don't know a lot of boxing history.
But we're going to jump 15 years back. The last thing I want to speak to you about, just show you the shape of Iron Mike Tyson. That's him at 58 years old.
He don't look as good as me.
I was going to say, is he in better shape than you, Dom?
No, not at all.
No? Are you impressed with his shape, though?
Yeah, he's all right, but he can, he looks in good shape, but he's a bit large around the waist. He's a bit saggy, like I say, he's had a lot of abuse in his life, and he's abused drugs and probably alcohol and everything else. And one thing you can't take away from him is that, he knows how to hurt people. He was ferocious back in his day. I can remember, I think I've said this before, when Junior Witter boxed Zab Judah, and we were all sat on the top table. He was fighting in Scotland, and Junior Witter started mouthing off at Zab Judah, and we were all sat there, and I leant forward, I looked down, and I just see Mike Tyson. He leant forward, and we were that way, and he looked down, and he kind of grimaced, and we all kind of just sat back. We didn't want to catch his glare, and that's how menacing he were, because he was probably the type of fighter who'll come up to you, after the press conference, and
that's a crazy aura that
I'll give you another example. One time we were in Las Vegas, and we were watching, it was night before De La Hoya boxed Trinidad, and there was a show on at Mandalay Bay Friday night, and Mayweather was boxing, defending his world title in the Mandalay Bay, and we kind of walked in, and Tyson was there, and John Keaton wanted a boxer who used to box, wanted a photo with Tyson, and Tyson was talking. I said, just side look to him and tap him on the shoulder and ask him for a photo, and I'll get a quick snap. I think we didn't have mobile phones in them days. I think it was a camera, and he kind of tapped him, and Tyson Mollis turned around, he's going to knock him out, and he just got this photo of John Keaton like that and Mike Tyson like that, and I got the snap. I'd have to find it. He went, "Whoa, I'm just asking for a photo, Mike." All right, and he just paused for another one, and then off he went. But the ultimate reaction when somebody tapped him, he kind of turned around, he was off, ready to let one go. So yeah, you won't mess with Mike Tyson, would you? Looking at that, even they, it don't really matter what shape he's in.
He's
as long
actually
as he's
still the same.
Sorry?
I've seen recent examples. I saw him in LA a couple of months ago. Somebody kind of put their arm around him, and it was the exact same reaction, like he was going to chin him.
Yeah, he don't. I think just that's how he is, because I think
He's like a cat. That's
the way he's been brought up, there's nobody going to be putting your arm around in a friendly fashion. So he's in good shape for his age, and considering what he's been through, and he's been out of boxing for a long time, and obviously he's had to get himself in shape for this fight.
He said, "I have to catch him and slaughter him. I don't fear him because he stepped into the ring. If my mother steps into the ring, she has a problem with me. Don't go in the ring if you don't want the problem." Jake believes his own lies sometimes. When you're in a big fight, you have to become delusional and believe you're somebody that you're actually not. He's in a lot of trouble. He told TalkSport that.
Oh, Tyson did?
Yeah.
Well, look.
Fight Talk.
You just don't know when there's that kind of money involved, if there's any kind of agreement. Is it an exhibition bout? Is it a proper fight?
They're building it as a proper. I think it's going on Box Rec.
Well, it might be whoever it's sanctioned by. But the thing is that Tyson at the age he's at, I think if there's no kind of agreement beforehand how it's going to go, and Mike Tyson is taking himself seriously, then he's always got that killer instinct, and he's 50. What is he? 59, Tyson there.
I think so, yeah.
And they say that the one thing left to leave you is your punch power, and I think he can still fight. He can still punch, whether his fitness is there or his mind's there or his reflex there, who knows? I mean, Jake Paul's the younger man, innit? But like I say, if Tyson hits you full on, then it's good night, innit? But it's just whether, there's been an agreement made before, who knows? There's a lot of money involved.
I'll put it this way, because you're same age as Mike, if you fought Jake Paul.
Me?
Yeah. Shape, you're obviously in shape.
You can look in shape and not be able to fight, and unless I watched him up the thing is, look, I used to box as a kid when I was 14.
Could you blag 8 rounds with him and move around, you reckon?
Well, it's gonna. If I turn around and say, "Nah, Jake Paul's rubbish," even at age, am I getting him flattening? People would be like, shutting me down, won't they? It's like anything else. Boxing's boxing. Street fighting. It's a different thing. I think if I trained and I really took it serious, watching Jake Paul, and I've been around a boxing a long time and I've boxed, yeah, I probably would beat him. But you don't know until you get hit, because it's different. It's like, until you actually see somebody up close, I've never seen him up close, actually fighting how he's breathing, how he's throwing the shots, you know, how he gets through the rounds, because sometimes you're just seeing speeded up highlights. So you have to be careful what you say, because one thing you've always got to be careful of is youth. And he's not really from a boxing background, he's not a street kid. So you've got to respect his motives for doing it. Do you know what I mean? And don't matter how much the fight's loaded in his favour, he's still getting in there and getting it.
I suppose he's a good example of somebody that's come from money. He was a millionaire
Yeah,
in
well, there you go.
YouTube,
That's a better example.
Yeah.
But you know, you got to be careful, because you know, age, when you're in your 50s, like I'm 57, and Mike Tyson's 59. The thing is that you still think you can do things when you're 20 odd, and that's not that's the reality warp of it. And you've got to be realistic. And most people are still getting there and let Kell Brook beat me up, or get in and spar with people, or you know, do what you do just to keep yourself, give you a sense of reality. Sometimes you have to get in that ring and let little kids knock lumps off you, because the reality is you could be walking down the street and some cocky little kid at 18 is lipping off and you think, well, he's only 18 years old, and you get a good hiding because they can fight. So you've got to have a sense of reality. You know, I still come in here, do a bit of training, spar with the kids, spar with professionals, spar with amateurs, you know, and sometimes you get beat up, but it keeps you grounded and balanced, and gives you a reality check. That's what it does. But you know, Tyson, who did he boxed? Roy Jones. How long ago was that? 2 or 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and Roy Jones came in here, and we talked to Roy Jones about that, and he said, you know, Mike's still got that power, but we've got that respect with each other. And Roy Jones is a respectful person, so is Mike Tyson. They're from similar kind of people in a roundabout way, but Jake Paul's not. So whether he's going to carry that respect for Tyson or what, I don't know. But with Roy Jones, there's always going to be that like boxer's respect. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you can take the advantage of somebody, probably not. Maybe Roy Jones could have, you know, knocked out Mike Tyson. Maybe Mike Tyson could have knocked out Roy Jones. But they might have just thought at that age, what's the point? We're here to get through, put on a show, get through and be respectful. Whereas maybe Jake Paul, you know, he's not going to do that. Maybe the more sensational the fight is, if he knocks out Mike Tyson, you know, maybe his numbers are going to go up millions and millions and millions. Maybe he's just not bothered. Maybe the younger generation haven't got that respect.
The last thing I'm going to ask you is, any update on the movie, Dom? The movie with your dad, I think it's called, I forgot what it's called now. What was it called?
It's called Giant, but yeah, the update is the producers or the film company contacted us a couple of weeks ago, and they said, look, we'll send you some links that you can watch what we've done so far. There's no CGI or no, you know, generated backgrounds. It's just basic stuff. And I think we turned and said, no, we'll just wait till the proper movie comes out with everything in, because I think once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. So they're going to send us like a raw version of it with no computer generated graphics in and all the stuff they add in and the enhancements. And I says, oh, that'll probably spoil it for us. And we did say to me, and if we weren't happy with it, or we thought something about you changing, well, not really. So there's no point as watching. I'd rather, you know, see it when it comes out in its full glory, to be honest. But it's supposed to be coming out in the spring, you know, April, May. But you know, you never know with films, do you?
Good stuff. Right. As always, appreciate it, Dom. Any last words?
No, we've got what we're into now. We're coming into November, aren't we? So, it's, like you say, it's only a couple of weeks now, seven or 8 weeks for Tyson Usyk. So, you know, that should finish off 2024 nicely and see where we're at.
Indeed. Dominic, Ingle, as always, thank you very much.